Thank you, Dean Myers. Uncertainty is terrifying, but our relationships will guide us through it. I've both been looking forward to and increasingly dreading this day as the last 4 years flew by. If you'd asked me earlier how I envisioned this ceremony going, none of my possible outcomes would have involved me standing up here in front of you all. I want you to take a second to look back at who you were walking into this school and who you envisioned you would be by the time you walked up to the stage. Take another second to look back at who your closest friends were the first couple weeks of school and who your closest friends are now. The friends presumably pretending to share your majors so you can sit together one last time before we all go our separate ways. These are just some of the realizations I've had the time to reflect on recently in preparation for this moment today. When I was originally told that I was nominated and chosen as the Farmer School Business Student Speaker, I was greatly honored but humbled. At my place in life, I do not have the credentials of an experienced business leader, but after careful thought, I realize I do have the advantage of knowing our class. The only thing I presumably know better than our other speakers are the 1,000 familiar faces staring back at me, likely with the same thoughts and emotions as me. We're excited to graduate and embark on our life's journey for which we spent the last 16 years preparing, but we're afraid of the uncertainty that lies ahead as we leave the friends and life we've made for ourselves here at Miami and the Farmer School. The uncertainty of how we'll like our coworkers, the uncertainty of the challenges of financial independence, the uncertainty of whether eating Skyline 4 days in a row is even normal in the real world, or the uncertainty of your weird tan line going away anytime soon from yesterday's ceremony. I was asked to share my story here at Miami today, but my story is really all of our stories. Every one of us has a version of this, so as I share mine, I urge you to take the opportunity to reflect on yours and how it's changed over these years. With this idea in mind, I began looking back through my experiences here at Miami. One experience in particular that really stood out to me was what I learned from my time helping lead the Isaac and Oxley Center for Business Leadership. I learned through this experience that I have a tendency to view the world from a relationships-based lens. Accordingly, my message through these stories is simple, but I believe critically important for our success as future business leaders. The relationships we form are the tools that we use to navigate the uncertainty that lies ahead. I'm sure by now we've all heard business leaders and faculty tell us about the power of relationships or the importance of networking. We even had that required guest lecture back in the days of Business 101. Sometimes the concept is formalized through the term social capital, but even so, I challenge you to reflect carefully on what it is we actually all leave here with after these last 4 years. Yes, we might take with us the ability to read a cash flow statement or have a decent understanding of Porter's 5 forces. If you really paid attention, you may even remember the difference between monetary policy and fiscal policy. We may be better versed now with business cliches like pushing water uphill or it's a paradigm shift or let's circle back to this. And we even have the improved ability to throw the word synergy in any applicable sentence. But all that aside, I argue that the most valuable takeaway from our 4 years here are instead the relationships and experiences outside the classroom, with the faculty who taught us these concepts, the professionals who appreciated our understanding of them, and the fellow classmates who helped explain them to us one more time while cramming the night before the exam. When asked about a time a faculty member or experience here made an impact on your life's journey, each of us would obviously have a different answer. For me, I think of my first trip to Chicago through Miami Ad Week. Going into the trip, I was dead set on taking advantage of all the meet and greets with agencies to get a head start on my dream career in advertising. However, early on in this experience, I realized that I actually hated advertising. Despite this realization that I was back at square one after seemingly having it all figured out, I still find that trip extremely valuable because of the relationships I made while there, including the advising professor, who later became my informal advisor, who stuck with me first through my pursuit of a career in market research, and then through my drastic last-minute switch into a career in consulting. If it weren't for these relationships formed on this trip, the uncertainty of discovering a new career path, or 3, would have surely been terrifying. As we've all been informed on the campus tours that led us to come here, one of the unique qualities of Miami is its sense of community. While still a large school, what helps set the Farmer School apart from other business schools is that bond created among the student body. Whether it's the new friend that keeps you sane during a Friday morning lecture, or the sheer concept of a farmer face around our building, our school is indeed a community. One of the unique traits of this community is that Farmer students feel compelled to help each other out at any time for any reason, giving resume advice, practicing case interviews, or simply explaining what smart casual even means. Without any expectation of reciprocity, just a pay-it-forward presumption for the people in need they next encounter. During many attempts to network with the company before career fair, I guarantee we've all seen Miami alumni willing to bend over backwards for current Miami students, no matter how awkwardly they may be trying to form a connection. Regardless, the concept of paying it forward is by no means new. But what makes it unique here at Miami is that this drive to succeed together creates incredibly strong connections between us. Connections that should and do withstand the test of time. I don't mean connections in the sense of LinkedIn requests, but rather in the sense of shared experiences here that create stronger relationships between each and every one of us. A Harvard study found that strong, meaningful relationships actually lead to quantifiably longer and happier lives. These relationships could include that professor that sometimes feels more like my life coach than my educator, helping me realize my strengths and how to better leverage them every day. The mother who's spending yet another Mother's Day in a stuffy auditorium to watch her last child walk across the stage. The lifelong fraternity brothers that I know end up at my wedding, or the biological brothers that agreed to join me on a post-grad European adventure. It includes the friend I've known almost literally from birth, and the friends I made here that I know will always join me on the Brick Street dance floor and not leave until we're physically forced to leave. Despite how you define these relationships, we've been developing them since the day we packed up our belongings and embarked on the journey to the paradise that is Oxford, Ohio. After we walk across the stage and celebrate uptown one last time, these relationships between us do not disappear. Instead, there's a simple shift in terminology such that these relationships become that alumni network we so often hear about. Just because we are venturing out to start our careers now does not mean we are set on a predetermined, rigid trajectory. Just as we walked on campus 4 years ago, seemingly sure of our major or our path, we were probably wrong at the time, because our last 4 years here has taught us that the future is never certain. I walked into Farmer freshman year feeling prepared and ready to learn about business. What I walked into was what felt to me like a lobby full of upperclassmen who were confident and knew where they were going. I thought they had it all figured out, and I seemed to be the only person that hadn't yet cracked some code, if you will. I looked at myself coming in with only a couple high school business classes under my belt, and not knowing what constituted a good haircut. I didn't even own a suit. Whether or not we realize it, we are now those seniors that underclassmen may be looking at. We have job offers in hand, we're looking fairly professional under our gowns, and we're fairly confident in the directions that we're headed. I thought that I would come here to study marketing and learn what college is all about. I never would have guessed that I would study in London and Cuba, attend luncheons with executives, or form the solid foundations of my professional network with all of you sitting in front of me here. If such unexpected developmental experiences took place here at Miami, I can't imagine what will happen once we start our careers in just a few short weeks. So as we sit here today, ready to start these great opportunities and envisioning what our lives will be like in 5 or 10 years, remember once again that the future is never certain. Each one of us is likely to make a few major career changes along the way for one reason or another, and that uncertainty can be terrifying. However, what we can be certain of is that our relationships will continue to shape the paths ahead of us and help reshape who we expected to be. These relationships that we carry with us from here on out are more than likely what will open the doors that transform our careers and our lives. Therefore, as we move forward with the beginnings of our careers, I urge each of us to explore our future communities for opportunities to develop new, impactful relationships. I guarantee it will lead to stronger, more surprising connections that might also lead to a happier, healthier life. When faced with uncertainty, remember to leverage the relationships with which you surround yourself as your tool for navigating through it, because while uncertainty may be terrifying, greatness is just on the other side of fear. So whether you're off to a startup in Silicon Valley, with the Midwest and the Big Four in the Midwest, or a bank on Wall Street, starting fresh in a new town or returning back to your hometown, I look forward to running into each and every one of you in the airports or the streets of wherever our careers are about to take us. Congratulations, everyone. We made it. Thank you.